The clock on my wall ticked toward midnight, each second dragging longer than the last. My apartment was quiet, save for the faint hum of the old refrigerator and the distant city sounds bleeding through the cracked window. I had been awake too long, staring at lines of code on my laptop, trying to fix a bug for a client who didn't even know my name. The light from the screen flickered across my cluttered desk. Half-empty coffee cups, wires coiled like snakes, and stacks of unread books. That was when I heard it. 3 soft knocks at my door. First I ignored it. People didn't visit me, especially not this late. My friends knew I was more hermit than socialite, and my neighbors hardly acknowledged me in the hallway. But the knocks came again, more insistent this time. I pushed my chair back, the wooden legs scraping against the floor, and crept toward the door. The peephole showed only shadows. My building's hallway light had been broken for weeks, leaving it in permanent twilight. I hesitated, then unlocked the chain and pulled the door open. She stood there. A woman, or at least she appeared to be one, with skin that shimmered faintly as if it reflected starlight. Her eyes were wide, an unearthly shade of silver that seemed to hold galaxies within them. Long strands of hair fell over her shoulders, but they weren't quite hair. They seemed to ripple, like threads of liquid metal shifting with unseen currents. She leaned forward, her lips barely moving as she whispered, "Please, clean me, human." Froze. Her words made no sense. I blinked, half convinced I had finally snapped from isolation and caffeine abuse. But she was real. She left a faint, damp footprint on the hallway carpet, and the cool night air clung to her presence. Excuse me," I stammered. Her voice trembled as she repeated, "Please, clean me. The dust, the noise. It clings. I cannot breathe." And then she stepped past me, into my apartment as though she had been invited. My body tensed, instinct screaming to demand answers or call the police, but curiosity rooted me in place. She didn't feel threatening, fragile even. She wandered toward my cluttered desk, her fingers hovering over objects without touching them, as if every mundane item was a sacred relic. "You live surrounded by weight," she murmured, her accent strange, syllables lilting in ways I'd never heard. "Your kind lets it grow until it crushes." I glanced at the mess around me. The stale crumbs, the coffee stains, the piles of laundry shoved into a corner. And for once, I felt genuinely embarrassed. "Okay," I said slowly. "Let's pretend I believe this isn't a dream. Who, or what are you?" She turned to me, silver eyes soft yet piercing. I crossed the veil. "I should not be here, but the filth clings. I cannot return until I am clean." Her voice cracked on that last word, as though the concept carried immense weight. Middle. Over the next hour, the woman revealed fragments of her story between long silences. Her name, or what resembled one, was Elora. She came from somewhere she called the outer flow, a dimension parallel to ours, vibrating at different frequencies. She hadn't meant to enter my world but claimed she had been pulled here by resonance. I didn't understand half of it. Physics had never been my strong suit. But she seemed certain of one thing. She couldn't return home unless her body was purified. "What do you mean by purified?" I asked, still skeptical. She pressed a hand to her chest. "This place is heavy, dirty. My form absorbs it. The noise is suffocating. If you wash it away, I will find my path." Her plea was bizarre, yet her desperation was undeniable. She trembled with every word, her luminous skin flickering dimmer like a failing light bulb. Against all reason, I agreed. We started with water. I guided her to the bathroom, where she stared at the faucet as though it were alien technology. When I turned it on, she gasped at the cascade. Tentatively, she extended her hands beneath the stream. The water hissed faintly when it touched her skin, not in pain but in release, like dust burning off heated metal. She closed her eyes, whispering something in her language. I watched, spellbound, as faint gray particles lifted from her skin and dissolved into the water. Over the next hour she let me help. I gave her a towel, and she studied it like it was a holy artifact before carefully dabbing herself dry. When I suggested soap, she hesitated but nodded. I lathered the cloth and handed it to her. She pressed it against her arms, chest, and face with reverence. The more she cleaned, the brighter her glow returned. The faint shimmer of stars reappeared in her hair. She smiled for the first time, and it was breathtaking. "You are kind," she whispered. "Your world stains me, yet you help." I swallowed hard, suddenly hyper-aware of the intimacy of the moment. I was helping an alien woman bathe in my dingy bathroom at midnight. It should have been absurd, laughable even, but instead it felt profound. When she finally stepped back, her form radiated faint light that filled the small room. She looked at me with gratitude so deep it made my chest ache. But then her expression faltered. "It is not enough," she said softly. "The filth is inside too. The noise." She touched her temple. "Will you help me?" That night we cleaned not just her body but my entire apartment. She guided me as though she could see the residue of chaos itself. Together we scrubbed the floors, wiped the counters, sorted my piles of junk. Every action seemed to rejuvenate her, her glow intensifying as the clutter diminished. But strangely I felt lighter too. With each discarded coffee cup and dusted shelf, an invisible weight lifted from my chest. Hours passed like minutes. Elora moved gracefully, never tiring, humming strange melodies that resonated in the walls. Her presence filled the space with warmth, almost sacred. At one point, she found an old family photo buried under unopened mail. My parents, smiling at a park, their arms around me as a child. Elora studied it for a long time. "These are your bonds," she said softly. "You buried them in dust." "Why?" I didn't answer. I hadn't spoken to my parents in years, too absorbed in work and isolation. Her words struck deeper than I wanted to admit. By the time dawn's light touched the blinds, my apartment was unrecognizable. Clean, spacious, alive. And Elora, she was radiant. Her skin glowed like moonlight, her hair flowing like silver rivers. But I could see the sadness in her eyes. "You've helped me more than I can repay," she said. "Soon I will return." The thought twisted something inside me. I hadn't realized how much I wanted her to stay. "Do you have to?" "Yes." She tilted her head. "Your world is heavy. To remain would be to drown." Ending. When the clock struck 7, Elora stood in the center of the room. She closed her eyes, arms outstretched, and a low hum vibrated through the air. The space around her shimmered, bending like heat waves. "I can feel the flow again," she whispered. "The noise has lifted." A tear slid down my cheek before I could stop it. "Will I ever see you again?" Her eyes met mine, luminous and endless. She stepped closer, placing a hand over my heart. "I do not know. But I leave something with you."